There is nothing to writing. All you do is sit down at a typewriter and bleed. Ernest Hemingway. Honestly, this is one of my favorite quotes about not just about writing, actually, about anything in general. And I know it does relate a lot more to writing, but honestly, any sort of creative process can be defined as something that you come up with in your head and something that you just bleed out of you. Hey guys, welcome to Stardust Musings. This is your host Farha. And today I'm going to take you on a journey that I myself went on a few years ago when I actually wrote this poem. And it's a tiny little poem. It's called The Moth and the Butterfly. And it's something that really means a lot to me because of the person who I wrote it about. So let's get going with the poem. Once there was a butterfly and a moth. They were close. Some say they were siblings from the same origin. They were two peas in a pod, just inseparable from one another, always there for the other, even if they were apart. One day they had a falling out. Both said things they couldn't take back. The once inseparable friends, the one who never stayed apart, started to be distant from each other, barely speaking to each other. Just some distant glances, nothing more. One thing that they didn't realize was any bond as strong as theirs wasn't easily broken. Just like how they fell apart, they made up. It took a while, but eventually they got past their differences and started speaking again. Little did they know that this small act was enough to bring back that spark of friendship. That a bond as close as this is like one forged in steel, yet like the metals in steel, complex and layered. When the surrounding people saw them together, it was akin to a sigh of relief, for it hurt them to see their distance and made them ecstatic seeing them flying around together, poking fun, and being there for each other like old times. Now, you might be wondering. I know in the intro to the poem, I mentioned that I wrote this about someone. It's not just any person. I wrote this about my brother. And we did have a falling out. We do. The thing is, we do fight. And at that time, we are like a shark smell for blood. We both frenzied. We both say a lot of crap, and sometimes we don't even mean it, but it still hurts. And sometimes it gets so bad that our parents get involved. And at that time, they're like, oh God, will you both just stop fighting? You both are old enough to solve this by yourselves. Why are you two fighting like tiny babies? But well, we still fight. And then by the time maybe some, and in some cases, by the time that we make up, our parents are arguing. And then we, and then we end up looking at each other. We're like, we started the fight, we finished the fight, and now what is going on? Like, those are some of my funniest memories, honestly. Like, us fighting over the little things, like the TV remote, or even the bigger things, we still find ways to get on each other's nerves, but we're still best friends. That's something I honestly really like. And now you might be wondering, where did I get the idea of comparing me and my brother to a moth and a butterfly? Well, I personally am obsessed with butterflies. I absolutely love them. And the fact that whenever I try picking out earrings, even I end up looking for butterflies because I absolutely love them. I think they're a very strong metaphor for things that we can achieve in our lives. And they're just cute in general. I don't know why I find them really cute. And just they're so beautiful. Like, how did nature come up with so many colorful combinations? Like, honestly speaking, I as a person wouldn't have thought to like combine orange and black and brown. Yet those are the colors of a monarch butterfly. And there was this particular one I saw when I think I was 12. When we went to this place, it was called the Butterfly Garden in Dubai. There was this particular butterfly that was on the outside, it was brown and black, but on the inner side of the wing, and honestly, it depends on your perception because the outer how you see it. Because one side of the wing, it was blue and black, and the other side it was brown and black. Even the shapes were different. The brown and black side was circles or circular shapes. The blue and black side was stripes and lines. It's like, how did nature come up with something so beautiful? And honestly, the thing is, in juxtaposition to my obsession with butterflies, my brother was terrified of them. We went to this garden and we were like, our dad ended up telling us, you know what, dress something colorful, we are going to a place, since these color and best if you actually wear colors that come in nature, or go for anything that is your choice. I went for pink and blue because they were the most colorful thing, brightest thing I had in my wardrobe at the time, and I absolutely loved them. I absolutely loved that entire outfit, honestly. And my brother wore something red, and he was terrified of them. I don't know why. Like, he saw them and he thought that they were just creepy bugs. And once he it took some time for him, like spending maybe like almost we spent a really long time there actually exploring the whole thing. But towards the end of the trip, he was not creeped out by them, but at the same time he was not a big fan. I mean, we did manage to put a butterfly on his forehead and on his hand. That he was scared at first, but then he was okay. And this is also the same person who one day burst into our room. I was in bed reading a book, and he just told me, Didi, I think moths are cute. I was just wondering for a second, wasn't this the same guy who was scared, I mean, terrified of butterflies when we actually saw them in person? But yeah, well, he really liked it. So that is where I got the idea of comparing the moth and the butterfly to me and him. He's the moth, and I'm the butterfly, obviously. And I want to say one more thing. Honestly, like how I came up with the idea. And there's another thing to this whole idea of this poem. I read this poem, actually studied it when I was in school. I think it was eighth or ninth. I'm honestly not sure. It was this poem called The Frog and a Nightingale by Vikram Seth. And I absolutely loved it. Like, first of all, the whole poem reads like a story that you would tell someone. And to me, that's what inspired me to write the poem this way. I was like, why? I did think, like, why did Vikram Seth write The Frog and the Nightingale the way how he wrote The Frog and the Nightingale? But as I grew older, I actually understood why. Because it sounds like a story and it sounds like an unlikely pairing. You would never think of pairing a frog and a nightingale. The nightingale is like it has one of the most beautiful songs in nature. And the frog just sounds like it just pisses you off. Like the sound of the frog. But you would never think of pairing it, and he paired it and he wrote the poem, and he wrote a poem that sounds so beautiful. And honestly, when I started writing poetry, I wanted to write a poem that sounded like that maybe even felt a bit like the story that was in The Frog and the Nightingale. And when I got the opportunity, it just fell in my lap and I absolutely loved it. And another thing that I feel really special about this, when I wrote this poem, my brother was actually sleeping on my shoulder. We were on a flight, we were going back from Dubai to Kerala for our school, and he was sleeping on my shoulder, and I ended up typing it on my phone. And I did make a few changes and words and everything here and there, but I it really felt special to me that I wrote this when he was with me, because it just added another layer of joy. Whenever I see this poem in my notes or in my phone, or whenever I see a butterfly in nature, it just reminds me of him and it reminds me of this poem. And honestly, I absolutely love it. That's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next time with another poem, another musing, and how I came up with the idea and how I ended up taking that idea and writing it into a poem. Let's see which poem I end up choosing next. Okay?